Captain Peter Cutsey, South Korea, and this is my briefing room. We're now going to do the captain's pre-flight procedure. He's been off the flight deck doing the walk around while the first officer completed his pre-flight procedure, and he's waiting for the captain to do his. On arrival on the flight deck, the captain will actually get into his seat, sit down and check his oxygen mask as per company SOPs, if that's in fact where he does it. And if the first officer had done the test as far as the oxygen drop was concerned, he wouldn't have to do it. So we'll assume that the first officer has done that. Now the next thing is the captain will go ahead and check the HS, copy it, because he'll need it for the OPT later. Then right into his first item, into the test switch, light test switch. And at this point, he would have advised the first officer that he was going to do the test so that both of them could stop what they're doing and have a look around the flight deck to make sure there are no missing bulbs. So let's say we've done that and it's the test is complete. He can turn the test switch off. There we go. All right. So, and he'll cancel a master caution. That's fine. And telling the first officer that he's probably done that. The next item in his procedure is to go right up to his EFIS panel, and he'll do that. Make sure the radio altimeter barrel selector is barrel, and that he selected the engine out altitude as per SOPs for Muscat off of runway 08 left. It's 830 feet. If the engine out acceleration height is 800 feet as per company SOPs. So we'll say that's what it was, and he said 830, flight path vector as required on, and meters not required, and hectopascals, and 1013 set as per the ATIS, and VOR selected just for reference. And the map is selected and not the center mode, and the range selected. We will select the next range up. There we have it there with 10 nautical miles at center screen. And we've done that. We'll just follow the FCOM and go through, and then up to the mode select panel, MCP, and make sure that the courses are set. The first officer had already set them. He would confirm that, of course. 084, 084, and 084 for runway 08 left. Bank selector, or I should say flight director on, and it is on, and flight director is indicating. Bank angle selector as needed. It's already selected at 25, and some aircraft it's auto. Autopilot disengage bar up. And we saw that back here. The disengage bar is over here, and it is indeed up. Oxygen test and set. Well, this is Boeing's procedure, and most companies have, as we discussed already, the check is done as you get into your seat. Then the takeoff config and cabin altitude lights, they're here to make sure they're both extinguished, and they are. And then the disengage test we'll do number 1 position, 3 amber lights, steady amber lights, and the number 2 position, 2 red steady lights, and the FMC is an amber steady light, and then return the switch. Stab out of trim, Here it is here, verify that it's extinguished. And flight instruments check, verify that the following flags are shown. And as we looked at before for the first officer, similarly for the captain, the TCAS off flag is visible and the no V speeds. Check. Verify the flight enunciator panel is correct. Auto throttle mode blank, roll mode blank, pitch mode blank. And the AFDS status, flight director. That is correct. Done. Select the map mode. We are selecting the map mode. Integrated standby. So over to the standby and ensure that the correct setting was there. We are in hectopascals at 1,030. We checked the altitude was within the limitations, and we checked it against the captains and the first officers. So that's already been done. And set that the approach mode display is blank, and that is in fact correct. The display is blank. The altimeter has been set and verified the flight instruments are correct, and they are, and no flags. So here we have the RMI with no flags. And in this case, we've selected VOR on both the number 1 and number 2. Speed brake lever is in the down D-dent, and you would physically make sure that it is in the down D-dent by moving it down. And the speed brake arm light is extinguished. The speed brake do not arm light is extinguished. These lights are up here. And the speed brake extended light is over above the first officer's nav display. So those lights are extinguished. Reverse thrust lever is down. And they are. Forward thrust levers are closed. Flap lever is set. Flaps up. And parking brake is set. It's set. And the engine start lever is cut off, and they are in fact in the cut off position. I don't know how they snuck up there, but they did sneak up there. The engines weren't running, and in any case, the engine start levers are cut off. That's just the software. That's correct. Stabilizer trim cutout switches, here they are here, and normal. HUD system is needed. We're not going to speak about the HUD. We'll do it in a future briefing. And the radio tuning panel set. So down to the radio tuning panel and set it up the way we set up the first officer's radio tuning panel. And then the captain would get into the last 3 items of his pre-flight check, which is to make sure that his seat is adjusted, rudder pedals adjusted, and shoulder harness, and all the seat belts and harness fastened. That is the trigger to tell the first officer that he is now ready for the very first checklist, which is the pre-flight checklist. And he would call for that checklist, and they would do it. That's the end of the captain's pre-flight. And incidentally, he would have checked the FMC CDU. He would have checked the legs page and the route page, and that everything up to this point has been loaded properly before continuing. That's it for this video. See you in the next video. And the next will be a look at the OPT for this particular flight. I've done an OPT extensive briefing video you can look at using another airport, but we're going to do another one just as a review for this flight from Muscat to Dubai. Thank you for watching.